Hey everybody, Stephen Bogan here, and today I'm talking about how to reach your goal weight and how it might be holding you back.
My name is Steven, and this is a video about health and fitness things that I work for overseas, and I am just a guy with a fitness thing for you.
So hey everybody, I hope you are having a great day, whatever day it is when you're watching this. But let's really dig in, because I was thinking earlier, I was like, wow, so many of us get caught on this scale number. And for some of us, maybe that scale number is appropriate. Say if you're a competitor and you know what your stage weight needs to be for where you've been very competitive, and we need to be within a reasonable distance to that, I think that's probably pretty reasonable to say, hey, we need to make sure that we're getting to that goal weight, and this is something that is more, I think, feasible and reasonable. For others, I think the goal weight is something that really tends to hold us back from actually making true progress with our fitness journeys. And the reason I say that is because for so many of us, so often, that goal weight is something that's just no longer as realistic as we might feel it was or is. And a great example of that is somebody who has maybe had a few kids, they're in their 30s or 40s, and they say that their goal weight is what they weighed in high school. Wow. And this might be different for men and women, but if I look back at the weight that I was in high school, I was 135 pounds. We're talking about a 50-pound difference, and I am not out of shape by any reasonable means. Why I say this is that as we continue to grow and mature, past high school, maybe past college, there are a lot of different life factors. Sure, maybe family's one of them, maybe kids are one of them, but maybe we've also been lifting for an extra 5 years, and we've been lifting these weights, and we've been doing all of these other things. We should not be back at that old weight, because that old weight is going to be very different for us now. We have put on muscle. So the idea of what that goal weight is probably should change. We probably need to not be stuck on this idea of some set scale number as being the good or bad answer for where our body composition needs to be for how we feel about how we look. And this is why I bring this up, because that can start us off in a place that's going to be maybe unhealthy for us, but set us up to be unhealthy in our journey to find that number. Whereas if we can be more open, and if we can say, hey look, maybe I just need to lose 20 pounds. I think that's better than necessarily getting stuck on a more arbitrary goal weight, even though I don't think that necessarily that's the best either. Or maybe it's the look. I want to have more muscle. I want to have less body fat. And again, making that delineation, because we cannot lose weight but still lose body fat. And these are important things that set us up for, I think, realistic ways to achieve that, and then of course to maintain and keep the progress we make as much as is possible. Because for sure, there are a lot of unrealistic body standards put out there for men and for women, especially if you want to be somebody that just stays natural and enjoys being healthy and does it because they love it. If you want to take it further than that, that changes the game for you, of course. But for a lot of us, we are marketed physiques that may not be the natural physiques that we are taking it for. And so the scale weight, the goal weight thing, we need to be very careful and considerate of how we utilize that for ourselves and where we're at, for whether or not that might be as fair to ourselves as we feel it might be. But there are most certainly some other ways that we can help manage getting to that goal weight, or just to continue losing weight. And for a lot of people, the idea is just simply being consistent. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be overbearing about things, but being consistent and knowing where we're at, having that nutritional education, and being day after day around that same home base area so that we know what we need to do to make changes, if we need to make changes at all. For most people, consistency is the biggest factor in terms of their fitness journey. It is not necessarily that they need to just drop all of their calories and do all the cardio, because that's most certainly not the healthiest approach to anything. It is more so that they need to stop doing that And then having these other days where things are off the radar, where we're just off the reservation and things are going crazy, right? Now we have consistency, we can be consistent, and that allows us to be, and maybe it's a less of a deficit to where we're seeing progress, but enough of a deficit to where we are still seeing progress. Not so much of a deficit where we might see progress some days of the week, but then we overwrite that progress going back the other direction on the other days of the week because hunger signaling has come up, we have more free time, we're able to think about it and feel our feelings, and now a couple of drinks and some meals out lead to a real overabundance in calorie intake, which is very, very easy to do. One of the other things that I think is an unknown or a misnomer that a lot of us fail to recognize is the impact that good sleep, quality sleep, and getting enough of that can have on our weight loss goals and on our goals to make those things like scale weight happen or to make progress in terms of just fat loss, which is really what we want to focus on. If you are not getting adequate sleep, and I like to go ahead and define adequate sleep for at least 6 hours a night. There are inter-individual differences. Some people need more sleep. There may be some people who can get away with a little bit less sleep and still be getting enough. But I say 6 hours is probably a bottom end for how much sleep we should be getting if we want to really give ourselves the opportunity to be in a spot to be healthy, of course, and to not see that making a detrimental impact on our weight loss goals. And then along with that, it is not just about how much sleep in terms of length, it is also quality. So making sure that, hey, we are winding down appropriately before bed. That might mean using things like meditation or reading or breath work or whatever it might be for you that helps you to relax and truly get into a good place where your sleep is not only getting enough quantity, but also enough quality. One of the other things that we can do to really help with making sure that we're making progress still is fluid intake and drinking enough water. And I don't want you to think fluid intake and be like, great, I'm gonna drink a half a gallon of coffee. Probably not the way to go. But fluid intakes, and specifically having enough fluids with our meals. This can help with digestion, making sure that things are getting broken down appropriately, because yes, we have things that are fat soluble and things that are water soluble. So we wanna make sure that we have enough fluids and liquids going in with that meal as well. And of course, it's going to help us to make sure that things are moving through the digestive tract and we are hydrated enough to digest and make sure things are moving, for a lack of a better term. Because we want to have good digestion. We want to make sure that we feel like we are light and free in the morning or whatever our time is. And this is another thing that can absolutely impact, for the worse, our fat loss goals and our weight loss goal, is if we're not getting enough fluids. Yes, there are a lot of small things that we can overlook, that we can forget, and that are going to have an impact on our weight loss. But I think these are probably some of the bigger ones for most people. It obviously, of course, starts with consistency. The sleep is a huge one. Fluid intake is a huge one. And the last one I'm gonna mention is stress management. Sleep is a huge part of that. Of course, yes. Water and fluid intake is another big part of that because that's gonna help flush out extra inflammation and stress response stuff. But making sure that we understand that what we do to lose body weight is in fact extra stress. So making sure that we do have good, healthy, productive stress management techniques in place to help us manage the overall stress load that we have in our lives. And understanding that sometimes when the load for stress is much higher in other aspects of life, we may need to bring down the amount of physiological stress to really make sure that we're still within normal, reasonable parameters so that we're still making progress. So until next time.